The first time Kai Mackenzie-Lyall played football for his country, he scored a goal in the last minute of extra time. Now that's got to be a dream scenario for pretty much any footballer, but it's arguably even more extraordinary if you're the goalkeeper.
De doelman van Guyana erbij komt. Vergeet dat niet, hij is 2 meter lang. Beresford die gaat de vrije trap doen. Daar komt Beresford. En inderdaad is dat een doelpunt.
Now unfortunately for Mackenzie-Lyall, Guyana still went on to lose that game 3-2, but it's not a bad way to make your international debut, is it? The next game, he'd save a penalty. But here's the kicker. This goalie, who was playing for Barnet FC at the time, would not have made that incredible first appearance if it wasn't for the game Football Manager, or more specifically, one of Football Manager's researchers. There's something like 2,000 different real-life football clubs in Football Manager, and the game prides itself on representing those teams as accurately as possible. This means building profiles for each of the players, and not just the first team, but ideally the backup squad and the youth academy too, if the club has one. To do that, Developer Sports Interactive relies upon an army of researchers to go out and watch these footballers play each week and then determine what their stats and history should look like in game. The developer itself has a handful of full-time employees who are responsible for bringing all that data together, but below them there's a group of around 70 part-time head researchers who are in charge of a single league, or maybe even an entire country if there's not a huge amount of football being played there. But the real power behind this whole system is the 1,300 volunteers who look after their local teams around the world and then work with those head researchers to collect just an enormous amount of data that's then fed back into the game each year. Now the researcher we're interested in is a guy called Jack Thorpe. He used to be responsible for Barnet and would go along to see the first team play, but also keep an eye on the reserve team, which is where Kai Mackenzie-Lyall was playing at the time.
The Football Manager process is about subjectively rating the players, but also a lot of it is the factual information that you want to include in the video game. So for players that are lower down the pyramid, like Kai, one thing that I would do and that a lot of the researchers would do is pour through Google, pour through, in this case, Kai's Twitter, his social media profile.
He's got a good Instagram too.
Instagram as well, yeah, and find information that is needed for the video game, basically.
It was here on Kai's Twitter profile that Jack noticed the player had listed his nationality as both Jamaican and Guyanese, which didn't quite match up with the Football Manager records. They showed that Mackenzie-Lyall was born in London, which is right, and also that he had a dual nationality with Jamaica, but it said nothing about Guyana. This might need updating, thought Jack, but hang on, it could also lead to something else.
I thought, hey, this could be of benefit to both Kai and to Guyana. They could perhaps use him as a good goalkeeper. Someone that came to mind was Neil Etheridge, who used to play for Fulham, but he played for years for the Philippines, and the experience that he gained playing international football really held him in good stead, and I thought a similar thing could happen for Kai.
And so from here, Jack decides to go above and beyond his responsibility as a Football Manager researcher and actually contacts the Guyana Football Federation to tell them, hey, there's a pretty decent goalkeeper you might want to be looking at playing for Barnet. And they take his advice, of course, and that very same year, Kai Mackenzie-Lyall is scoring the header that he'll remember for the rest of his life. But what does Kai himself think about this? He's since been signed for Liverpool as a prospect for the future, which is about as big a jump as you can make in professional football. To give you some context for that, Barnet are currently in the Vanamara National League, which is a whole 4 divisions below the Premier League where you'll find his new club. We were originally set to head up to Liverpool to interview Mackenzie-Lyall himself about this story, but unfortunately it fell apart due to something on his end. So instead, we're going to go and have a chat with his team captain for Guyana, a man called Sam Cox. Actually, just before we get to that. Okay, so this is just in case the video ends up doing a decent amount of views and someone from Sports Interactive actually watches it. Hello, I've been playing Football Manager 19. It's very, very good. I haven't played in a few years, but I thought I'd give it another go, given that we were doing this topic, and it's totally sucked me back in. You're very good at what you do. Keep going. Quick thing about your manager creation. So this is the default setup for creating manager in game, and this is your default male manager. He looks a little bit like me, I guess, sort of. His eyes are a bit closer together. I'm sure someone's pointed that out. But yeah, looks like a Football Manager, looks relatively normal. If you click over to female, the default female option, I just feel like it could use a little bit more work, you know? Her feet aren't the same colour as the rest of her skin, and Her eyes are just quite sunken into her head. Yeah, thought I'd just give that, just mention it just in case you're watching and you can have another go. All right, back to the rest of the video. Am I right in thinking that it was you who Jack actually reached out to when he realised he wanted to get Kai in front of Guyana?
Yeah, it was Jack. He phoned me. I remember I was in a car, and he said to me, "What do you know about Kai Mackenzie-Lau at Barnet?" Right. And he said, well, basically he was doing his research through Football Manager. He believes that he's got Guyanese heritage. He hadn't spoken to him, but he asked me if I can get a contact or try and get a contact. And I said, if he has got something in him, then the boy needs to get involved, especially if he's been at Spurs, Barnet. Like he must be good. I think his debut was the Suriname.
Yeah, that's right.
Was that his debut? Was it? Yeah. So that it was a tough couple of games to come into, especially for a young player as well. I think a lot of people can get sidetracked by Kai because of his presence, and he's so big, but he's still so young, especially in goalkeeping terms. Kai as a teenager going into an international environment was not heard of really, and he done it. Came in the Suriname game, and it's terrible conditions. Like the pitch was absolutely awful. The stadium and everything. It's probably Kai wasn't used to that kind of environment, hostile environment, playing in their backyard, and we found it really tough. He eventually, he claimed to have scored that day. Me and him still have a debate about the goal. But,
really? What's the debate?
I don't know if you've looked on camera, but I got the last touch.
Right. Okay,
I got the last touch, and this is the thing. So obviously I helped him. It was Jack that found Kai, and obviously I guess I helped in the process of him getting there. But he's come in. Obviously I'm skipper now, and he's come up last minute and scored. He shouldered it in. Apparently, he's getting all the plaudits. The Sun newspaper are tweeting him and everything. And I'm thinking, hang on a minute, this is my goal. And he's telling it, oh yeah, I scored on my international debut. I was like, no, that's my goal.
I actually have the goal with me, so we can maybe take a look.
Hey, listen, I've print screened it, like sent it to him, sent it to the whole federation. But yeah, still gone down as his goal.
We zien dat de doelman van Guyana erbij komt. Vergeet dat niet. Hij is
Alright, so you've seen the big man come up.
Beresford die gaat.
But you also see, where am I? There I am now, just lurking by the penalty spot.
De vrije
Watch
trap
this,
doen.
the cheeky
Daar
bugger.
komt Beresford.
Off his shoulder, look,
Inderdaad.
bang.
Inderdaad is dat een doelpunt.
Crafty
We zijn
geezer.
benieuwd op wiens naam.
Look, there's me, look, celebrating, I'm tapping my chest all sort. And there's Kai getting tweets from the Sun, getting put in the Sun newspaper. He was at Barnet at the time, that's how he got his move to bleed in Liverpool. I tell you, I don't know where I'd be if I got the credit for that goal, I tell you. Might be out the National South. Let's have a look at this again. They don't come often from Sam Cock, so when one does go in, I'm claiming it. He shoulders it. I put it in before it goes in off the, just by the post. Just look at his celebration, by the way. That is replay. Look at him. He's gone for the hop, skip and jump celebration. He's actually buzzing. I tell you what, he conceded 3 that day as well. Yeah, I tell you what. Unbelievable.
Beresford die gaat de vrije trap doen.
Daar komt Beresford.
En inderdaad. Inderdaad is dat een doelpunt.
Now, whoever scored that goal, and obviously we'll leave that up to you to decide, I love seeing how simulation games like this one can have a real, genuine impact on the worlds they're imitating. Football Manager already has a long history of doing just that, with people like Man United's manager crediting the game with helping him improve his approach to the job. But I like stories like this the most. A young goalkeeper struggling to get a first-team spot at Barnet gets called up by his country, and there he scores a header in his international debut, making headlines and eventually being signed by Liverpool. Now, I think most of the credit for all of that should go to Kai for being a decent keeper and dedicating his life to the sport, but in a very small way, this has all been nudged in the right direction by a part-time researcher for Football Manager. And that is kind of cool, I think. This video is sponsored by Skillshare, which is a website for getting better at things that you're not very good at. They don't actually have a whole lot on football, as it turns out, but I did incredibly find this class on improving the overall fitness of your team, so I don't know, maybe that's useful to someone if you're a manager, I guess. Aside from that, Skillshare has hundreds of other classes for things like video editing, photography, writing, bookkeeping, painting with watercolors, calligraphy, and even game development, with a premium membership to the site costing around $10 or £7 per month. However, if you'd rather have a go without paying, well, the first 500 people to use this link down here will get 2 months premium membership to Skillshare free of charge. Yeah, so that's good. I can go and take this off now, I think. I support Stoke, sort of, but I thought wearing a Barcelona top would be funnier. Yep, one sec. That's better, isn't it? Nice, sensible jumper. Thank you so much for watching, and most of all, thank you to our patrons. You are, even though we have the odd sponsorship here and there, you're the reason we get to do this as our jobs, which is pretty great. And hopefully you like some of the extra stuff that we drop over on patreon.com/peoplemakegames, like an explanation for why we received a letter from the Queen. She's, yep, no, you can't look at that. Well, you can, but no, you can't. Yeah, so maybe head over there if you'd like to support what we do. If not, thanks for watching anyway, and we'll see you real soon. Goodbye.